Leave me alone!
My dogs. What's good with y'all, man? Hope you guys have been doing well. It is a cold and wet December Saturday afternoon, and honestly, I had finals to be studying for. But despite the fact I was not going to come out, I had checked the Discord earlier today and seen...
What? It's just an ordinary crabby...
Wait, no wait.
I can't believe that.
Huh? Wait, no wait.
Y'all, I refuse to miss this. Honestly, I thought this was gonna be something light, just like a chill outing trackside in Atlanta with all my devices ready to go. Except the battery.
Bruh.
Ladies and gentlemen, I opened my camcorder to see the battery was not fully charged.
What is wrong with you?
And when I say not fully charged, I mean it was at 40%.
Are you mad? Are you stupid?
Correct!
Even though I was certain I had charged it during the week. When will I learn? So I was not going to go back and try to charge the camcorder because I had no idea when this transfer train with all those EMDs was going to start moving. So I decided to just stick it out and risk it and be very, very cautious about how much battery I was using while I was out here. And the activity of today was not helping because there were a lot of trains running. The first one of these being a northbound intermodal passing by that parked manifest we had first seen when we came out. And of course, being Atlanta, there always has to be something else running. Because I turned around as this intermodal train was approaching to see a CSX manifest parked just before the wall.
Hello there.
So that's one thing for me to look forward to after this intermodal train comes by. With this train having stopped and showing no signs of life, I decided to go over to Hawaii, knowing that I was going to at least see that CSX manifest, and also coming across Norfolk Southern 282, which had come up out of the south end of the yard as it was building its train in preparation to go north on the Greenville district. Here we can see it parked in the midst of that CSX manifest with a ET44AC leader on the front, and trailing behind it is an older NS-9 that probably has no more than 2 years before it's rebuilt. Despite there being two trains before us, I was not very entertained because nothing was moving. So I elected to go over to the south end of Inman Yard, where we can get advantage of both the Norfolk Southern and CSX tracks. And coming over to the bridge overlooking the south end of the yard, we can see that there's an approach on the CSX side. I don't trust these signals because I've seen them turn off, but hey, it was at least something. I'm better than it just being dead. And speaking of dead things, look who has come to life. That northbound intermodal that we have first seen stopped has finally received clearance and shortly appears rounding the curve as it continues its northbound journey past Inman Yard. And as the head end of this intermodal clears, I turn around to look deeper into the yard and see the prize of today. The Norfolk Southern CSX transfer train with 10 EMDs on it. Whoa. And as our first intermodal continues by this ridiculous contest, like look at this thing, bro. We also get to see part of the reason it is not moving. Norfolk Southern 282 is blocking the path of this transfer train from starting to move. And thus, until 282 started moving either to depart or to continue building its train, we were not going to be seeing any activity from this transfer train. So, knowing that this thing was not going to move, I continued down to the PTI pull-off down the street to get a better view of the contest. And coming here, I would find that the view was not as good as I anticipated, and I would also find out that the approach signal that we had seen on the CSX side was not for a phantom train. There was actually a loaded coal train parked off in the distance. And fittingly, as soon as I got here, it started departing within 2 minutes. As the CSX coal train departs, we finally start getting some activity from 282, which is reversing and giving us a little bit of a three-way rolling meet in the midst of the transfer train that is the reason I've come out here. Looking at the contents of the transfer train, we can see the 5 SD70 M-2s that are sitting amongst the lead power. However, even though these M-2s are in NS livery, they do not belong to NS.
What do you mean by that?
They still belong to PRLX, or Progress Rail. And in fact, none of these things are running.
What?
And their decayed appearance should probably indicate that. These are purely loads that are being moved over to the CSX side. I'm assuming for CSX to take them up north, because this is not the first time that CSX has been taking these Norfolk Southern M-2s and moving them on northbound trains to, I literally have no idea where. With all three of the trains that have been moving coming to a halt, I decided to go back over to the bridge overlooking the south end of the yard to see that original CSX manifest parked next to 282 was departing. And as soon as the tail end cleared, a random solo CSX AC44 appeared traversing the Y. And not only do we see this, we can also see that there's a clear given for something coming out of the south end of Inman yard.
Nice.
Turning back to look at Inman, we can actually see Norfolk Southern 282's power sitting next to the head end of the transfer train, but that solo AC44 that I'd seen over the Y would ultimately take my attention as it came rounding the curve approaching me. What a W-mans of a crew, bro. That dude actually looked up at me, saw me, locked eyes, and had a little moment while he rang the bell. Shortly after this single CSX unit cleared, the Norfolk Southern train that had gotten a clear appeared under the bridge as it was proceeding out of the south end of the yard. This train being a local led by a single Norfolk Southern -9 that probably has less than a year before it's rebuilt. And as the local continues on its way, the CSX coal train prepares to do the same as well. Because as the tail end of the local disappears out of view, the CSX coal train starts accelerating as it continues over to its next stop. the CSX whole train gone, the signal goes dark and indicates that there is nothing else coming, at least on that singular track. Now, unfortunately for us, there will be something moving on the other tracks.
Good evening.
Because the very original Norfolk Southern manifest that we had seen parked suddenly appeared around the curve as it continues northward. At this point, I wanted to have more guaranteed action, and I actually had a friend who said that he was going to be over at Inman Yard. So, that is exactly where I went to after the head end of this manifest cleared. As this freight train continues on its northbound journey, we see another Norfolk Southern manifest parked off in the distance, a long string of rather mundane intermodal container arrangements, another Norfolk Southern train reversing, and a yellow engine parked near the locomotive shops that resembles the rail-served GP8 that we had seen at Gainesville during our previous adventure trackside. In addition to all these finds, we would find the friend who I was looking for, NS Train Fan YT, good to see you, my boy, as he would join me in waiting for this transfer train to start moving. Its stay at Inman Yard being the only reason why I am still out here. As the tail end of that northbound manifest clears, the Norfolk Southern train that we had seen reversing off behind those containers finally comes up. This is Norfolk Southern 242, preparing to go up the Greenville District and head up towards Charleston, South Carolina, with some interesting activity on the radiator of that first unit.
What is that?
If any of y'all could give me an explanation on what is going on here, I'd really appreciate that, because I have no idea why there's that much mist by the radiator. Turning southwards towards our view of the yard, we can see Norfolk Southern 242's power continuing out of Inman Yard, the long set of EMDs on the transfer train, and another northbound train appearing. This one being an autorack train led by a D-Say Givo and, ironically, a SD70M-2. This one, however, actually still belonging to Norfolk Southern and being in operable condition compared to the SD70M-2s that are in a much more decayed state being on this transfer train. was evidently not done building their train, because as they pulled up to the south end of the yard, they started reversing as the head end of the autorack train cleared, almost certainly to couple up to another cut before eventually making a northbound departure. And as the tail end of the autorack train clears, it wouldn't be an adventure to Inman Yard if there wasn't a CSX jump scare. Because as me and NS Train for YT were chilling, and another dude named Steven happened to be at Inman Yard, we randomly came across this CSX local reversing, I'm assuming towards the Tilford area. And y'all, I kid you not when I say, less than 10 seconds after I cut this video, I had to whip out the camera back out again because immediately after this local cleared, a quartet of CSX locomotives came rounding the curve. And then I looked closely.
Wait a minute!
Oh my goodness!
Y'all, look at this, bro. This is a CSX MP15T. Yo, when I tell you, I cannot believe I saw this unit. There are so few of these left comparatively on the CSX roster. The last of these units was built in 1985, and as it currently stands, there are only 34 left that are registered and active. Wow. Who knows how many of these are actually being used on trains? And somehow, at a Norfolk Southern Railroad yard, we happened to catch one of these passing by, leading, in quotes, a trio of modern 6-axle CSX GEs. Oh my goodness, what a pure certified Atlanta magic moment. I love this place. Returning back to the Norfolk Southern side, we can see a random set of intermodal containers moving off towards the south end of the yard, and we can see Norfolk Southern 242 now at this point coupled up to its cut and having built up air getting ready to depart Inman yard. And as it does, it ironically meets yet another northbound Autorack train. This is Norfolk Southern 188 being led by 2 AC-44s that are pulling a whopping 9 cars. Bruh. Norfolk Southern, what are we doing here, bro? What is this, actually?
What is this?
What a disgraceful use of engine power, man, bro. 8,800 horsepower being devoted to this. Wow. Anyways, as we return back to Norfolk Southern 242, we can see its international containers coming on by. Before its trailing cut of Autorack cars cleared the bridge that we're standing on. And as the tail end of this train clears, and I barely snag an interesting find on the tail end, the transfer train starts abruptly moving. So you know what that means? We're racing to hell. While the buddy I was with may have had the fortune of having a car, I was pumping my legs to the best of my ability, and fortunately, actually beat the transfer train by 3 minutes.
What?
That's because their transfer train is stalling.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, these old EMDs are having quite the fit, trying to accelerate out of the Inman grade that's on the south end, and they were putting on quite the smoke and noise show as they were putting in all their effort to get up out of the yard. And to my horror, the battery was looking very, very, very low. Like I was actually so horrified that this thing was going to die. As the head and EMDs come on by, roaring on with all their might trying to get this train moving, we now get a much clearer and closer look of the trailing M-2s. We can see the Norfolk Southern marking has been marked off and replaced with PRLX, the electronics have been ripped out, the locomotive has definitely not been physically maintained, and the horns have been removed from the engine hood. And on some of the units, there were number boards missing as well on the nose. And trailing behind all of these SD70 M-2s is a transformer. Like, how much more special can this train get? The active head end power got to the curve before the engineer eventually notched down and the train started to reverse a little bit before coming to a stop. And as it does, we could try to start figuring out why this train was having so much trouble leaving the yard. So despite the fact that there is a grade and 5 of the engines were not online or just being moved as loads, there are 5 units on here that should have been actively online. Should have, at least. And thus presents the biggest problem. The fact that 3 of the 5 engines that are on the front are not actually online. Those trailing 2 SD40-2s were not running, and that EMD GP38 that is right behind the very lead unit was not running.
You serve zero purpose.
I don't know if the engineer had isolated it, because when they were parked in Inman, that one unit was puffing a lot of smoke. Yet here, once the engineer really needs it to provide some motive power, it just wasn't running.
Your trust, kid.
So after they had stopped, we had seen the engineer actually go up to that second unit and seemingly link it back to the rest of the train so that it would actually start pulling. And shortly after the stop, we started hearing the notching of EMDs and the transfer train began to move. And then Atlanta Magic started Atlanta Magicking. Oh my goodness.
Incredible.
I cannot believe how fortunate and blessed of a man I am, bro. A triple meet with a war bonnet, a CS6 manifest, and a transfer train with 5 SD70 M-2s, 10 total EMDs, and a transformer trailing behind all of it.
Sensational.
Oh my lord, I cannot believe how beautiful of a catch this was, man. This completely made my day.
W's in the shot.
And considering all the delays that this transfer train had, the fact that it led it to be in this exact moment, I could not have asked for anything better. I was actually so happy seeing all this. And as the end of the CSX manifest comes by, so did the end of my battery's life pass before my eyes.
This guy stinks!
But honestly, I had caught one I needed, to tell you the truth, so I was not that pressed. I would have preferred to still have the battery, because after it died, I left Hawaii, and going over to the King Cloud Bridge, I found another CSX manifest, the original NS transfer train, and another Norfolk Southern train parked at the King Cloud Bridge.
It's lit in here, huh?
And I knew that the NS manifest was going to start reversing because they had to clear up over Hawaii and then back up to the Tilford area. And y'all know that had the camera been up, I absolutely would have stayed out and tried filming it. But hey, it's all good. I had finals to study for, and the death of that camera gave me no reason to stay out and allowed me to discipline myself and to study and secure that 4.0. All in all, this was a remarkable day with an absolutely remarkable ending. One of the greatest things I've ever witnessed rail planning wise in a very long time. And I'm so happy I was able to capture it in this entire day and share it with you all. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, my friends, God bless. I will see you soon out on the high iron.